De baixo pra cima, tu senta, desliza pra não machucar. Pra não machucar. Senta, desliza pra não machucar. Pra não machucar.
So, true story, ever since my son was 1, we were planting pumpkins in our backyard at our first house. And I always heard deer like pumpkins. I don't know if that's true or not. I would assume they would, because pumpkin seeds, I believe, might be the number 1 or 2 seed for protein content. But I'd have to confirm and check that. I'll talk to my friend ChatGPT later. But long story short, since then, we've been planting pumpkins, and it just has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And I've learned a lot about growing pumpkins. What I mainly learned is that I suck at it. But this year, they are looking pretty good. So it's tough with the pumpkin plants, because as soon as you plant pumpkins, you got deer all over those baby little pumpkin plants. It also super important what time of year you plant. I've even tried to germinate seeds at home and bring them and then plant them, and even tried to grow pre-pumpkin plants and go and replant. I don't know why, I just felt like I get antsy, when it's time for growing season, so I always want to get outside early. But truly waiting, making sure that the soil temperature is at least 60 degrees by 9 o'clock in the morning is super important for a plant to really thrive or survive. But I did, at this new farm last year, successfully grow a bunch of pumpkins, and right before I was about to pick them and go try to sell them, the deer started hammering them. They jumped my little netting fence that I put up just to try to keep them down a little bit. And so this year, I put that same little netting fence up and planted more pumpkins, and I'm still trying to understand if I'm going to be able to sell any this year, or if I'm going to leave them for the deer, if there is any. Last year was super dry, so the pumpkins didn't really turn out that great, but this year, perfect timing, perfect amounts of rain, everything seems like it's stacking up right. So I'm gonna flip us around here. Let's take a look at the pumpkins so far. I believe that there's probably somewhere around 13 to 20 varieties of pumpkin plants, and we'll see what one grow, what they look like. We'll keep progress on them throughout the year, so you guys will know what's going on here. So hang tight. I will put in some videos how I did this, but first I tilled everything. Then I used my tire tracks of my tractor to make these squares, make little mounds all over the place. I have some drone footage. I'll show you what the grids kind of looked like, but this is all I do. I zip tie this bug deer netting style fence to some T-posts. And actually this year I busted my head wide open being a moron with a T-post driver, but got the fence put up. And here's the pumpkins. We're about, I want to say, a month and a half in, and they're looking really good. Some really, really good growth. You can see it goes straight down the rows. It doesn't look like there's a lot, but there's a lot. I want to say that there was roughly 1,200 or so seeds sowed into the ground this year. And unfortunately, I am not going to go clear those when there's too many in an area. I'm just going to see what happens. Let it go, let it grow. We'll do the best we can do, but so far so good. I did put some good fertilizer out prior to. I came in here also with some lime. I'm gonna say in the spring, after I tilled the first time, it had some lime sitting in there. And I mean, we got some nice green plants. Some of them are really tall. Look at this guy already. How big those roots are. But yeah, like I said, I want to say 13 to 19-ish different types of varieties of pumpkins in here. Several different jack-o'-lantern style pumpkins. Got some little sweet pumpkins and gourds. Some squash, I believe, is in here also. But really cool pumpkins, you know, those stackable ones. My wife absolutely loves them. I got white, I want to say teal, orange, jade night, porcelain doll, just to name a few. I get my seeds on harrisseeds.com. So go ahead and pop over to that site, take a peek at the list. But what I learned about the deer last year is they did not care if it was a porcelain doll pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern or a mini pumpkin. They ate it fast. When I say fast, guys, like I came out here one day and the next day half of the pumpkins were gone, which made me feel like I needed to plant a lot more or build a better fence. Planting a lot more seemed like a lot less work, but to be honest with you, this actually took a lot of work. I planted all of these by hand on the ground. First, I came in, like I said, I made these tracks so I'd get these little squares. Once I got these squares, I kind of mounded it up. I left those parts really loose with the soil. I got, like I said, the lime in the spring. Then I fertilized right prior to just a standard fertilizer just to help out. Like a 10-10-10 I think was completely fine just to give it a little boost. Then when I did it after these tire tracks were put through, the fertilizer was all applied, is I came through, got down on hands and knees, and legitimately punched a hole into the soil, put a seed in with care, covered it back up, patted it down slightly, and let it grow. This is not mold, mildew. This is actually the leaf. The leaf design looks just like that. I want to say that that might be the Jade Knight pumpkin. They're very cool, but I might be completely wrong. But I know that that's not mold, mildew. So good spacing on these pumpkins, that's important because the leaves, if they get too wet and stay wet, they will grow mold, mold mildew, and they will rot, have all sorts of diseases and infections, things like that, and that would not be good. So, like I said, we'll come back every couple of weeks or so. These things are really going to take off from here, hopefully. All of a sudden, we'll look out here, and this whole entire patch is going to be like one big dark green spot covering pumpkins. The weeds are starting to get out of control, but it's way too windy today for me to walk through with a sprayer. I'm not hand-picking 1,200 different blocks of seeds. It's just going to be too much work for me versus just kind of letting it go and letting it grow, and we'll see what we get. So thanks for checking out the pumpkin patch. Let's see what happens.